Hey guys, Christopher Sky-Sunderer here. Look, I have something I gotta say. I said it on Facebook, and I also want to say it here on YouTube. And I don't know if you're actually hearing this right now. I don't know if this is going to work because my ability to upload anything to YouTube has been spotty, to say the least, the last several days. Something got taken down that I shared recently, and it says video removed by the uploader, which would be me, and that's a lie. I did not do that. But there's something else that I want to go over because I've gotten some information tonight. That is just confirming some things that I've kind of known, kind of suspected, and I get more and more evidence of all the time. And when I saw some of this stuff tonight, I'm now really convinced I was right. And it's about specifically what information Donald Trump may actually have in hand. Okay? And I'm just going to say exactly what I said on Facebook. Okay, here. And it's just to say, folks, if you think what's on Hunter Biden's laptop is upsetting, you know, the stuff about Hunter Biden sleeping with hookers and doing crack and all that stuff, that's all, you know, it's whatever. If you don't know Hunter Biden is a scumbag at this point, then I don't know what to tell you. But it also contains emails that really seem to confirm that Joe Biden met with officials from Burisma Holdings. That's the company in Ukraine that hired Hunter Biden on, in spite of the fact it's an energy company, and they hired Hunter in spite of the fact that he knows nothing about energy and doesn't even speak Ukrainian. Okay, it came out in Ukrainian court just a couple of weeks ago. Representatives from Burisma said that they admitted in court that they had paid Joe Biden $900 million. And this happened right before they hired Hunter Biden on. We now seem to have emails confirming that Joe Biden did meet with Burisma officials, so that's taken together pretty bad. Joe Biden angrily told reporters he had never met with anyone from Burisma and had never discussed overseas business dealings with Hunter. Okay? Both lies. And we now have proof that they're lies. But if you think all of that is upsetting, you're going to have a major problem here soon. Because there's more coming. Okay? I have suspected for years that this other stuff I'm going to talk about, the information has been in Donald Trump's possession. If I can find it, I promise Donald Trump's people have found it. Okay, a couple of years ago, I was researching Pizzagate for the blog sunderthesky.com, and just, you know, I have some sources, and of course I'm not going to reveal them. I will say some of them are in the group Anonymous, and I have some others who are independent sort of data miners, can we say it that way, that know how to find information on the dark web, and I have some sources in law enforcement, okay? And I have one source in particular who's always been really good and solid. Nothing this person has told me has ever turned out to be wrong. And this source showed me some things that pertaining to Pizzagate, that when I saw just the little bit that I saw, I had to stop. There's this video I shared on Facebook recently of a Chinese media personality. I'm not sure who he is. I'm still looking into that. But apparently, in China, it's been a known quantity in the Chinese news media since September, because the video was dated September 24th. They've known in China that this information about Hunter was coming out. They've known about the laptop and the hard drive with the Hunter Biden stuff on it in China since September 24th, at least. We're just hearing about it in the United States this week. Now, what does that tell you about the media And I mean news media and social media, just internet media in America right now, how tightly controlled and censored it is, and how controlled it must be. If everybody in China has been talking about this for a month, right? So, but putting that aside for a minute, like I said, if you think what's on Hunter Biden's laptop is upsetting, you're really going to have a problem when the stuff on Anthony Weiner's laptop finally comes out. Okay, and pay very close attention to me here. You are not ready for what was on Anthony Weiner's laptop. You are absolutely not ready. I mean, this is stuff that, hearing about it, I think if you actually saw it, it would change things about your brain permanently. And like I said, when I was initially researching the Pizzagate stuff for Sunder the Sky, I got some information, barely a glimpse really, of what was on that laptop, which Anthony Weiner had filed under life insurance, quote unquote, right? Now think about a man in his position. What would he deem as life insurance that could be stored on a hard drive? The New York cops who saw some of it, because remember that laptop was surrendered to the NYPD, and before all of that stuff got seized and disappeared, the cops who saw it, most of them have died under mysterious circumstances since that happened. It was only a few years ago. And if some of the cops that have been quote-unquote suicided, if they actually committed suicide after what they saw, I would get it. I would understand. Okay? Just the tidbits of information I got, like I said, drove me out of the research, made me physically ill and unable to sleep for days. And by the time I came back to the work a couple weeks later, the story had been killed everywhere. A couple years later, about a year ago now, this would have been right about October of 2019, I was researching another article, which ended up being a two-parter called The Clinton Death Toll, and I'll link that in the description box below. And when I was researching that, I ran across some of this same stuff again, only now with even more detail and specificity. Again, coming from that same source. And again, it hit me pretty hard, both psychologically and physiologically. But as you know, in late 2016, when the Pizzagate story was still breaking, one day, everyone in the media, left, right, and center, even people like Milo Yiannopoulos, whose entire career is just being an antagonistic bomb thrower, and even people like Alex Jones, for God's sake, all just dropped the Pizzagate story. And they dropped it at the exact same time, on the exact same night. I remember Milo showing up to a college speech. The video's on YouTube. I'll try to find it and link to it. And at the beginning of the speech, he said that he had planned for that night to talk about Pizzagate, and said that he'd received a phone call on his way to the college, on his way to the venue, telling him not to talk about the Pizzagate stuff. And so now he was going to have to wing the speech, because that's all he had prepared was Pizzagate stuff. So now he was going to wing it. All of the mainstream outlets, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, all of them, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Huffington Post, even the New York Post, they all just dropped the story that exact same night. There was nothing about it anywhere. All lumped in with the debunking of the Pizzagate story as a hoax. Only it's not a hoax. Let me assure you that I've seen with my own two eyes, Pizzagate is real. And there is so much to it. It's such a broad and deep story that the fact that it all got hand-waved off as a quote-unquote hoax with a grand total of 2 minutes of media repudiation is laughable. And you find me any clips of any news report from that time providing real facts debunking Pizzagate and not simply, verbose statements refuting it. Not refuting it, but just denying it. The news just denied it. They didn't prove it false. Okay, and now you've got the owner of Comet Ping Pong, that pizza parlor, James Alefantis. His name is all over these documents of the FBI investigating these child abduction and sex trafficking rings, and yet no one has circled back to this. I believe, and this is what I was talking about at the beginning, and I get more evidence of this all the time, that Donald Trump has the information I'm talking about in hand. The stuff that was on Anthony Weiner's laptop. The Chinese news broadcast I was talking about, I'll link to it in the description box. They talk about how and this is, again, it's upsetting, they've known this stuff in China since mid-September. And I'm not talking about the Chinese government. I'm not talking about the Chi-Coms, the CCP. I'm talking about the Chinese people. In a communist country where everything you can even hear on the news is so tightly controlled, they've known this stuff about us. They've known this stuff that's going on here since September. They talk about how there's this hard drive with the stuff about Hunter Biden, but they say there's even more on that hard drive that we haven't seen yet. Stuff about Michael Bloomberg. Stuff about some kind of bioweapon. And stuff about, like, actual video and images of pedophilia happening involving Hunter Biden and others. And that's all just on the laptop that had the Hunter Biden emails and stuff on that we haven't even seen yet. So I don't think it was just an October surprise. I think it was the first in a series of October surprises. They also say there are 2 other hard drives that we haven't even heard about yet at this point, right? They say, because in this Chinese news story, if you watch the video, you'll see they say they got 3 hard drives. And I believe, based on like what I can deduce from other things that I've seen, is one of the hard drives they're talking about is Anthony Weiner's hard drive from his laptop. And I get hints and clues all the time that Donald Trump has this information. And after that Chinese news story, I'm 99% sure. Not only that he has it, but that he's going to release all of it soon. But like I've said before on the podcast, that's like when people say, why hasn't he done that stuff? Why didn't he end up going after Hillary like he said he would? Well, and why just release this stuff now, right before an election? Well, first of all, think about this. If you're listening to this recording, if you listen to my podcast, you are undoubtedly the kind of person that pays attention to this stuff and cares. Most people do not. Oh, they're going to care when the stuff I'm talking about comes out. But they don't now. And if the stuff, let's say, about Hunter and the meeting with Burisma and all that, if Trump had released this information back in, say, July of last year, no one would remember or care heading into the election. We would. I would. You would. People who pay attention would. But the teeming masses of voting zombies, they would have no idea. It would be memory hold with everything else. When they talk about how, under Trump we had a horrible economy. I'm old enough to remember February, for example, when we had a booming economy before all these lockdowns started. And the lockdowns have been driven by the left. Most of the COVID-19 deaths have happened in 5 states as a direct result, of the deaths in America, have happened in 5 states as a direct result of actions those states' governors have taken, namely putting COVID-positive young people sequestering them in nursing homes with COVID vulnerable old people. And most of the COVID-19 deaths that we've seen in this country that aren't these overinflated numbers that can be blamed on some other comorbidity, that the person died of a heart attack, but it was found posthumously that they had antibodies for COVID-19. If you drop all of the instances of that utter bullshit out of the COVID-19 death count, the number drops to like 30,000 people. And of those 30,000, all but about 11,000 are nursing home deaths or the deaths of people who knew people in these nursing homes. And those 5 states, those 5 governors are all Democrats. To name a couple, Anthony Cuomo and Gretchen Whitmer. And they still won't release the official numbers on those nursing homes. What I've given you now is a loose estimate based on the information we do have. We don't shut down the country for flu season every year. It's nonsense. And you look at Trump now is saying, okay, we're not doing any more lockdowns. We're done with this stuff. And people, for the love of God, the masks don't work. A cloth or paper mask is not going to stop a virus. If you were to take a microscope image, all right, get yourself a microscope and take a picture of the fabric or the paper of your mask. And if you blow it up to the size where that fabric mesh or the fibers of the paper look kind of like a chain link fence, by comparison, if we blew that up to the size of a chain link fence, a virus, all right, a single spore of any coronavirus, whether it's COVID-19 or the common cold or the common flu, would by comparison be anywhere between the size of a BB, like from a BB gun, and a pea. You are literally, it's like putting up chain link fence to keep mosquitoes out of your yard. Those are facts. The CDC and the World Health Organization have said repeatedly the masks do nothing to protect against this or any other illness. Those neck gaiters that people are wearing, those actually aerosolize droplets from your breath. And can I just ask, because I've had the COVID-19 test every time I've gone to the hospital, which for me this year has been a lot. They have to test you by basically sticking a Q-tip on a wooden dowel all the way back to your brain and swabbing the very, very back, I mean not literally to your brain, the very, very back of your nasal passages. It's incredibly far back. It's a very sensitive area. It hurts when they do it. If this is something that's just being transmitted through our breath, why do they have to dig that deep to see if you are infected? Wouldn't a mouth swab do it? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I mean, most people are just wearing the masks because they don't want to upset anyone. They don't want someone calling the cops on them. And I get that. But I believe that Donald Trump has Anthony Weiner's laptop. And I think he has what's on it. And I think he's going to release it soon. And let me be very, very clear. This has nothing to do with QAnon or any of that stuff. Nothing of what I'm telling you is a conspiracy theory. This is all verifiable information. Officials from the NYPD have spoken openly about this for the last 4 years. When this stuff is revealed, if even a tenth of what I've heard about it from my sources, again, some from Anonymous and some from elsewhere, if even a tenth of what I've been shown is really on that laptop, if even a tenth of what I've heard about comes out, the Democratic Party, and indeed the American left in general, is done. Over. The entire Alinskyite, Trotskyite, Leninite house of cards will come crashing down. And I have to say, I have no idea how the average American is going to react to this information. I'm not talking about the COVID-19 stuff. I'm talking about the stuff that's on Anthony Weiner's laptop, filed under, quote, life insurance. When it comes out, it's going to be real bad. People are going to be really scared and really angry, and they're not going to know who to trust or where to get reliable information from going forward. No one will ever trust the mainstream media again. Because we also know they've had this stuff and they sat on it. And I cannot stress enough, you need to prepare yourself. The lockdowns were nothing compared to what we might be facing in the very near future. And this is the kind of stuff, this isn't just like wait till an election so people don't forget. People will never forget this. This stuff that's going to come out. No one's going to forget. In 100 years, they'll still be talking about it. This is the most deeply disturbing, depraved, evil I've ever heard of in my life. Stuff that was done during wars, I haven't heard of anything this bad. And it's stuff that directly involves Hillary Clinton, Huma Abedin, Hillary Clinton's lesbian lover, prominent luminaries of the Democratic Party, and indeed of the American left-wing intelligentsia in general, the Podestas, all of that, okay? The stuff that you've heard about, you know, the Podestas thus far and the Clintons thus far is nothing compared to what's on that laptop. And make sure you've got lots of canned goods, because I don't know, you know, I have no idea. No one has ever had to, you know, no society has ever had to react to information like you. I mean, you've never seen disenfranchisement like we're about to see. So I wanted to put this out. And again, I have no idea if I'm even going to be able to upload this, but it's out there. Please pass it around. And just be ready and prepare yourself and make sure you're ready to take care of you and yours. I really don't know what's going to happen. But, yeah, that's all I've got. We'll be back soon. Thanks.